Good morning and happy Easter, everyone. Happy Easter. Welcome to the Easter Monday edition of The Conversation on TOS Television Network. I hope you had fun. I hope it's been a swell time, swell Easter for you. I can't say the same for me, because I've been working, but yeah. I am a day so well, see.
And I am Merciful Ajinmo. Good morning.
Good morning, Merciful. Good
Happy
to see
Easter.
you again.
Good to
Happy
see you
Easter
too.
to you too. All right, before we kickstart the show proper, as always, we will be bringing you the quote of the day. Yes, that was Abraham Lincoln there with some Monday morning, Easter Monday morning motivation for you. So basically it just says sometimes it's okay to actually be quiet about certain things. Sometimes I'm just saying, you don't need to prove yourself at every point. Sometimes just keep quiet and let things take course. Max, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think sometimes we just, stay calm, watch, understand what's going on, study, just remain calm to know what's happening.
Exactly.
Because sometimes we jump into, conclusions, saying things and, acting based off what we've seen.
Yeah.
Because we've not gotten enough, information or proof.
Yeah.
So moving forward, let's try to, analyze situations first. Listen, more of listening, more of keeping quiet and less of talking.
All right, okay, so we are going to be moving straight into, happenings and stories, some of the things that happened, across the African continent over the weekend. And then if you've been in Nigeria, if you've been, an MTN subscriber, you'd have experienced a few issues with the, bank USSD, recharge and everything. So, and then the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Issam Pantami, has said the unstructured supplementary service data, that's the USSD challenge MTN users are going through in the use of internet banking is due to the fallout between the mobile telephone network and some banks. He made this known after a legion of users took to social media on Friday to lament for not being able to recharge their MTN lines using USSD and other banking channels. While responding on his Twitter page that this was due to a fallout between MTN Nigeria and some banks, he assured that the problem will soon be over. And the fallout between MTN Nigeria and some banks on USSD services today, I engaged with both regulators, the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria and EVC Nigeria Communications Commission, that's the NCC. We have reached an advanced stage of resolving the issues for the services to be restored to our citizens. Many thanks. That was Pantami talking right there. And I think it was sometime on the show where we said that, banks are having telecommunication company are having issues with the bank USSD because some of the banks are owing them a large amount of money and they were soon going to disconnect users from using the USSD. And I didn't think it was going to start that soon. And, they had said we might have to start paying for the USSD recharge and everything, but
and it didn't dawn on us. They were saying reactions from people saying they cannot, because personally I use an MTN line.
Yes.
I think majority of Nigerians also use the MTN service because it has always been, there's always been in use right from time. Yeah. So people are saying, look, and I told you it's easier to just use your SSD than going, and buying a conventional paper card where you can. So people are like, look, we cannot do anything, and it has been an issue, of worry.
I could not recharge my MTN for the last 2 days. I couldn't buy data. I couldn't buy airtime. I was so frustrated.
But you can just walk into a shop and just get a card.
That's the thing. I'm just recharging from your bank, and then I was like, it didn't even occur to me. And then when it occurred to me, it was already too late. I was like, I can't go out now to buy a recharge. It was frustrating, and I hope it's fixed. I know I was very frustrated, and I had friends that were complaining about the same thing. And I think because I've already heard that they were having issues, I could easily just deduce it's probably because of that. But a lot of people didn't know what was happening,
it's no longer
and they didn't even send messages to say this is what's going to be happening. All of that.
It just hit us. Yeah,
exactly.
You try to recharge, you never see anything. You wait, you try and recharge again, you not see anything. That's how it works.
Shocked like that.
But we do hope everything, you know, like Issa
Pantami
has said, everything will be resolved soon, because really it takes out that scope of accessibility, that scope of easiness, because you can just be at the comfort of your house and just recharge them, going to the street, you know, to buy from a recharge card vendor.
Exactly. Very, very easy.
All right, we move on. This is talking about Joe Oke Odumakin, who is mourning the departed husband, describing him as irreplaceable soulmate. Dr. Joe Oke Odumakin has claimed that her departed husband, political activist and publicity secretary of Pan-Yoruba group Afenifere, Yinka Odumakin, was an irreplaceable soulmate. She expressed this while confirming his demise in a statement on Saturday. She described him as an irreplaceable soulmate, adding that he died of complications from respiratory issues due to complications from COVID-19, from which she claimed he already recovered from. She said, "With gratitude to the Supreme Being for a life well spent, I announce the passing on of my beloved husband, Comrade Yinka Odumakin, to the great beyond after a brief illness. The sad event happened this morning, that was Saturday the 3rd, at the intensive care unit of Lasuth, Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, where he was being managed for respiratory issues due to complications from COVID-19, which he had recovered from about a week ago." And she said, "I appreciate the outpouring of grief and sympathy from home and abroad as I mourn my irreplaceable soulmate." So this is just like a reaffirmation that COVID-19 is still out there, and things are still happening. People are still dying from the disease. You know, before there was talks that, look, he had recovered from the COVID-19 he previously, you know, was alleged to have caught, but now the report is saying it's still the COVID that, you know, was the cause of his death.
It's very sad, you know, especially when you feel as though somebody's recovering from an ailment that they put them down for a while. That you have hope and you have relief, it's getting better, and then he passes on, and then he has to be your partner. That has to be like very sad and very grief. And at a time when, you know, everybody's home celebrating the Easter and everything, it's very sad. And I hope that she has, you know, my condolences to her and family.
Same here.
And I hope she has, you know, the fortitude to bear the loss. And this is another sad one. One of Nigeria's civil society leaders, Innocent Chukwuma, is dead. He died on Saturday evening in Lagos. According to close friends, he was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, an aggressive cancer of the blood. He was aged 55. With profound shock and sadness, I regret to inform you that Innocent Chukwuma passed away a few hours ago in the evening of April 3rd. May his soul rest in peace, announced Editian Ojo, a frontline freedom of expression advocate and executive director of the Media Rights Agenda, who was a friend of Mr. Chukwuma. Chukwuma came to the limelight first as a student union activist at the University of Nigeria, UNN, where he read religious studies in the early 80s, when Nigerian students led relentless campaigns against military interregnum. Mr. Chukwuma founded and led the Clean Foundation to promote public safety, security and accessible justice in West Africa, the first African non-governmental organization to receive the prestigious MacArthur Foundation Award for Creative and Effective Institution. I think that's one the country has lost, you know, a fighter, an activist. It's quite sad. And I do hope that, you know, we have someone to continue in his legacy.
Definitely, because at this point the country needs, you know, everything about justice, you know, fairness and equality. So people who are, you know, standing in front of these wars are people who we hold, you know, in very high deep regard, esteem and high regard. So it's really a sad one for Nigeria, I must say, because no matter how little, if you're contributing to the development of the country, you would definitely be missed by people, because there are people who do not have voice to speak for themselves, and people like this who are always, you know, out there to, you know, talk for these people, you know, ensure that Nigeria's judicial system is put on check.
Exactly.
People that, you know, we need at this time.
But one thing to be appreciated, that he did, you know, use his life and his voice well, you know, created impact, made impact, you know, helped people. And I'm sure like people are forever going to be grateful and appreciate his life, the 55 years that he did spend, you know, on earth. Definitely. Quite sad, but like grateful for the kind of life that he lived.
Definitely. All right, we move over to another story. It's another sad one, talking about the NSAS issue. This happened in 2011. The Bayelsa State Judicial Panel of Inquiry on Police Brutality and other related matters, sitting in Inugu, the state capital of Benue State, Bayelsa State has ordered the release of the corpse of a 17-year-old boy, Emmanuel Victor, shot dead by a trigger-happy policeman along General Sani Abacha Road in 2011. The panel, chaired by Justice Emmanuel Ogola, retired, also awarded 5 million naira to the bereaved mother for a proper and decent burial. While delivering the judgment, Ogola, in a petition filed by the deceased mother, Grace Victor, and the suit number BYS/JPR/011/2020 noted, there is no compensation for what was pronounced as a vicarious liability, or so, as the policeman who committed the crime has already been sentenced to death. The panel also awarded 16 million naira to Daniel Kokorifa, a Federal Road Safety Corps official attached to the Rivers State Command and father of a 17-year-old innocent Kokorifa, murdered by men of the anti-vice unit of the State Police Command in August 2016.
I was quite confused when you were reading that one. I wasn't sure if they kept his corpse for 10 years or they had let it go and then she was just getting compensation or just getting justice. I'm not quite sure. It's quite, very shady in my head. But I saw the part where they said the policeman that committed the crime had been sentenced. So I'm very, very happy that justice had been served.
And no matter, the truth is, even if the mother was compensated 5 million naira, no amount of money can, replace, but it's really a sad one.
It's a young life that was taken, a 17-year-old boy, promising young boy, had a whole life ahead of him, and then a trigger-happy policeman just took him. I think that's what, we were fighting for with the NSAS protest and everything, just better life in Nigeria.
I want to believe that we have gone all past, because this happened in 2011. We can't have trigger-happy policemen shooting innocent people.
Well, one happened in 2011, one happened in 2016. And I'm sure, in Nigeria, we still see cases of that happening, but I think he hasn't been as pronounced as, the way it was happening before.
Yeah, because of the level of awareness and everything.
Yeah, there's level where, they know that they can be held accountable and things can be done, and then, justice can be served. Like, you cannot just do it and just go scot-free with it. And I think that's, just the effect of young people coming out to say, look, we've had enough. We cannot keep doing this, and this cannot keep happening to us. And that, that's quite impressive. And like I said, I'm quite happy and glad and, elated that the young man and the family of the 17-year-old boy and the other, young man that was killed got justice, for what was done to them. All right, that's much we can take on the, Development Across Africa segment of the conversation. We'll go on a break now, but in that time, we'll be bringing you COVID-19 updates from across Africa. Welcome back, as I always say, and I think it's been my custom here on the conversation for the last, 2 months? Yeah, that you should take precautions. That was COVID-19 update from across Africa, as collated by Africa Center for Disease Control, Africa CDC. And you can see the numbers are still rising. The number of deaths, the number of recoveries is impressive, but yeah, we still have number of active cases, over 4.1 million, and over 100,000 deaths. And on the Development Across Africa segment, we did read that somebody, say a Nigerian, died of complications from COVID-19. That is to tell you that COVID-19 is out there, it's real, and it's still killing people. So you should take precautions. And then what precautions do you take? Wash your hands regularly, with 20 seconds of soap and water. And if you don't have that available, use a and hand sanitizer. Be sure that it's not adulterated and all of that stuff, because that's very harmful. Just be careful, social distance, gathering, wear your face mask, do all of the necessary things so we can all be free from COVID-19. And then if your country or your state has started rolling out vaccination, do get vaccinated. Your process is easy. Just register and show up at the center, and you will get vaccinated against COVID-19. And then we can all look towards, ending COVID-19 in 2021. We don't want to have to be talking about a third wave in Nigeria or in Africa, because it's scary. It's
very scary. That's why prevention is better than cure, if you ask me. So it's better we, make sure that we're safe than, for it to happen, and we try to look for ways to
damage control.
Damage control. It's not helpful.
It's not. We don't want to do that in 2022. So let's just do what we need to do, and then we're done with COVID in 2021. All right? Okay, we're clear on that one. All right, we're going to go on a break now. When we come back, we'll be taking you through what the newspaper headlines are saying here in Nigeria on Easter Monday. Don't go anywhere.
TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, Watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Being a journalist means in-depth analysis that unravels hidden truths, that question the status quo and fact-checks government.
These criminal elements hiding under the cloak of surveillance contractors are the APC elements.
Do you have facts to prove that? Being a journalist means waking up every day with a burning desire for peace, equity, and justice for all citizens.
We're being told that the choice you have is to take the lesser of two evils.
It means patriotism via the prism of objectivity and accountability. It means giving my platform to the masses to discuss issues that matter to them.
Some of them, if they bring budget, and the budget they look. Some they sleep. They're going to ask how much you are on. I have it.
Thereby shaping government policies and laws. My name is Osasu Igboneja, and I am
You're welcome back to the conversation shown on Digital First Pan-African News Network. And don't forget, you can always be a part of it by following us across all our social media handles at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, subscribe on YouTube. And you can also, keep it locked on www.tostvnetwork.com on our website to watch the live streams of all our shows. And it's that moment where we bring you to the newspaper review segment of the show, where we bring you, headlines across some of the major Nigerian dailies for the mornings. And we begin this morning with Blueprint from the very top. We see Access Bank sustains profitability post 106.01 billion naira PAT. That can be found on page 26 of the Blueprint newspaper. And underneath that, we see payment of compensation excites Calabar, Itu highway communities, and that can be found on page 9 of the Blueprint. And the headlines underneath the tag Blueprint: autonomy judiciary workers shut down court tomorrow. And the writer underneath says, you lied on residency, NMA tells Ngige. And then the next one is Sultan turbans 3 Dasuki family members, 17 others. That can be found on page 7 of the Blueprint newspaper. We move over to the very gaping headline there. As 39 students languish in captivity, El Rufai threatens arrest, prosecution of negotiators. The riders, 3 riders there. The first one, opens platform for reporting corporate. The second one, Obasanjo Gumi meets in Abeokuta. The third, Nigeria massive killing field in a state of emergency, coming from Bishop Kuka and Bakare. And the last one, fourth rider, is Kuka's comment on godly, coming from presidency. And that story can be found on page 7. The whole of the gaping headline can be found on page 6 to get the details on that. And underneath the picture of the day, where we see the Speaker House of Representatives from Igbaji Biamila and Kano State Governor and Speaker Kano State House of Assembly at a wedding fatir of Aliyu Magaji's son in Kano. Court remands 4 women for killing 19-year-old housewife in Mina, Niger State. That can be found on page 5 of the Blueprint. And then Nigerians can now obtain passport in 72 hours, coming from Aregbesola. And that story can be found on page 13. The next one is total pension assets hit 12.3 trillion naira. And that story can be found on page 26. And drug trafficker intercepted at Abuja airport with 564 million naira heroin. That can be found on page 15. And the last headline on Blueprint newspaper for this morning is Ebonyi crisis. 55 suspect escaped from police custody. And that can be found on page 8 of the Blueprint. So many headlines on this newspaper.
564 million naira worth of heroin.
That's some drug.
Where is it coming from?
That's some drug right there.
I want to know if he was coming into the country or if he was leaving the country.
You grab a copy.
We have to grab a copy because that one caught my interest. If he was coming into the country, then I could say, okay, he's good. But if he was leaving the country with it, wait, that amount of drug in this, that is scary.
564
million naira.
That's some drug right there.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay, moving away from that to the Daily Trust newspaper, starting from the very top. Fresh rumble as Kano Anti-Graft Agency probes Emir Bayero. Then the next one, why bandits are targeting Kaduna. That's coming from the Kaduna State Governor, Governor El-Rufai. Vice President, governors, others send messages of hope at Easter. Now moving to the very gaping headline on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. IPOB kills 13 traders in Enugu and Imo in 1 week. Oshibanjo in Ebonyi calls against reprisal. ACF to police, stop killings of northerners now. Government disturbed. Uzodima's aide is the one saying that. And then coming from the Commissioner of Police, I think from, I don't know, Enugu or Imo State, we're in search of killers. That's those are the riders under that headline there. You should get a separate copy if you want to read into that. And then just underneath the picture of the day, I think that's a cross section of Easter celebration across Nigerian churches. Obasanjo Gumi wants special courts to try bandits and kidnappers. And then underneath that one, 11.3 billion naira jinxed Just Stadium waste away. 2 kids burnt to death as fire got flat in Suleja. And then the last story, which is on page 24, 3 killed in Imo over 50 naira bet money.
Very sad.
Very sad. 3 lives wasted over 50 naira. That's I don't know how to put that, but that's...
You never can tell, yeah. It depends on where the people are. Like we're always saying, some people don't have access to finances and money, but no matter what,
you don't kill the
person
over
the life
not
of
just one person, 3
human.
people. And then I think it was a case of gambling. Maybe somebody won and somebody refused to let the money off, stuff like that. Somebody got angry, they got into a fight, and then 3 lives are lost. Quite crazy.
Very sad one.
That things you can just foresee and just that's why I think my dad would always tell you, when things are starting to get out of hand, just walk away. So things don't escalate and all of that stuff. And I think a lot of people should adopt that
policy.
3 people dying over 15 naira. That's terrible.
It's sad. All right, we move on to the Daily Times and we begin from the very top as well. Nigeria is not dropping AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, says federal government. You can get that story on page 5 on the Daily Times newspaper. And on to the very gaping headline, external reserves dropped to $34.82 billion amid sluggish economic recovery. That's coming on page 4 of the Daily Times. And under the picture of President Muhammadu Buhari and his wife, Aisha Buhari. Passport, federal government establishes express center to help Nigerians to get passport in 72 hours. That story can be found on page 2. And the next one is insecurity. Obasanjo, Sheikh Gumi, others meet in Ogun State. Again, it can be found on page 5. And the last one, talking about Easter, all will be well with our country. Osinbajo tells Nigerians at Easter. That can be found on page 3 of the Daily Times newspaper.
I like the message of hope that keeps coming from everyone, from the presidency to the vice president to state governors,
that things
to
definitely
religious
get better.
leaders. It's a time to just reflect on a lot of things, and then just the message of hope, the message of faith. That look, I know we're going through a lot in Nigeria right now, but just keep faith
because it's a bright side.
Exactly,
and
just use the time to pray for the country. I mean, this is the country we live in, right? If
it's
you're praying
our
for
country.
exactly, you're still here. I know quite a number of persons have intentions to leave. Okay, well, you're still here. So the time you're still here, pray for the country. So things can work well and work fine for you before you decide to do it. Or you might actually even just change your mind and stay.
Even if you leave, you still have people connected, affiliated, family, related, or just
and you want to see them
connection
okay, and you want to see things working for them. So
definitely.
I know, I think it was on this show where people were saying, look, we can't be saying pray for Nigeria when actions are not being taken. We understand that part, but just
we
do
can
your part.
We can only do what we can do.
Exactly. So just do your part. If all you can do is to pray, just pray for the country at a time like this where we're seeing sober reflection and everything. Just keep faith and pray for Nigeria. All right, moving over to the News Direct newspaper. That's the Nigerian News Direct, starting from very top as well. And this is on herdsmen. Enact law now. Lawmakers tell state governors. Then federal government activates 200 billion naira AFDP facility for technology and creative sector. Nigerian News Direct announces winners and finalists of annual poetry prize. And then just, the gaping headline on insecurity. Establish special courts for banditry. Obasanjo Sheikh Gumi urges the federal government. And then underneath the picture of the day, USSD war. Banks unblock MTN. Reconnect telco to banking channels. Wow, that's quite impressive. UBA, a bank of many first in pursuit of customer satisfaction. And then still on the bank, Sterling Bank reports 16% profit growth in 2020. And then just beside that one, I'll soon expose those politicizing security issues in Oyo. That's coming from, Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State. And then on immigration to issue passports in 774 local government areas. That's coming from Aregbe Shola. And then the last headline on the Nigerian News Direct is 211.9 billion naira impairment charges by 6 banks shrink profit. Those are the headlines on the Nigerian News Direct. Interested in anyone, especially, we've been talking about MTN, showing us quite another side the last 2 days. And I think they said they've been unblocked. So I think the frustration is going to be caused today and all of that stuff. So just, you have a copy of the Nigerian News Direct to read further, into all of these stories. All
right, we move over to the Business Day, the last Nigerian newspaper for this morning. And we'll begin from the very top, talking about the Business Day Market Monitor. To get the data, facts and figures checked, just pick up a copy and you can see all of that. And the very gaping headline there, talking about hospitality war. Shut-let apartment takes on hotels for market share. A very interesting one. You can get that story on page 31, on the Business Day newspaper. And side by side there is here are best performing Nigerian stocks in first quarter 2021. You can get all of them in the Business Day newspaper, and they can be found on page 31. Inside an article states failure to access UBEC grant denies citizens quality education. To get that story, you can grab a copy of the Business Day and find it on page 30 of the newspaper.
Before we move over to, the social media trends going on the break, I saw this one where they said the federal government has activated 200 billion AFDB facility for technology and creative sectors. And I'm quite interested in when anything that has to do with technology, innovation, creative industry, and all of that, I'm very much interested. And any effort that is going into that to, see a boost in that sector, I'm all for it. And I'm saying, I hope the fund goes a long way to help, because ICT is one way, another way that we can look towards diversifying Nigeria's economy, technology and all of that stuff. And then if we're looking to, the Africa Development Bank to help, pump money into that sector, to grow and to look. So fantastic idea.
We've always had guests on the show here talking about how we've not been able to fully maximize the potential, from the ICT space as a country. So anything that involves, innovation, sponsoring, and just doing something to ensure that sector is being worked on and everything is something we encourage on the show.
Technology is the way to go now. ICT is the way to go now, so quite big. That's the much we can take, on the newspaper segment of the conversation this morning. We're going to go on another break, and when I come back, I will be taking you through what's trending on social media. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us up until now on the conversation. But don't forget, you can also be a part of the conversation. Just follow TOS TV Network across those social media platforms. That's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and as well as YouTube. And don't just, watch the video, subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. Also, check out our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. Now, moving straight, taking you through what's trending on social media. And my favorite Nigerian celebrity couples, have been trending in the last 4 hours. And I'm talking about Mr. Capable Banky W and, his wife, Adesua Itomi. Quite amazing. Like when I talk about those people, I get kind of mushy because I'm very particular about them. I love them. Like, they're my own.
Okay.
And they're trending in the last 24 hours for sharing their testimony. Like, you do know, everyone, I think almost everyone knows that they recently had a baby, baby Zaya. A little cute baby boy. And then, so they've been married. I think they got married in 2017. They've been married for about 3 years. And people have been asking, why didn't you guys have a baby yet?
As usual for Nigerians,
womb
how
watchers.
they monitor people.
Exactly. You've got to monitor your womb and watch your womb. They don't even know if you're going through stuff.
They have no idea. But they keep asking questions.
Exactly.
What's wrong? What's not happening?
Or you just decided to say, look, I'm not ready to have a baby yet. I think it's the African thing where you have a baby and they just assume that.
And it was really definitely. It was really mind-blowing when we came out to see the pictures when they shared it, and you're like, boom, we never saw her pregnant or anything, and it just happened.
Her circle,
now shared the
I'm going to
picture.
come back to her circle. Like she carried the pregnancy for 9 months and nobody shared the picture.
Nobody shared nothing.
It was quite impressive, and I was very happy when I saw that she was pregnant and then they had a baby. It was quite tough when her best friend, Linda, had her own baby, and they were like, you got married before Linda, she's had a baby before you, it was all that stuff. So, but they went on social media and shared a testimony of their journey and all of that stuff, and you got people talking. And then this is the first tweet. I always read out Twitter reactions to you, yeah. And then this one is from Dami the SW, and she says, I just watched Adesua and Banky's testimony. I was touched. And then Adesua and Banky's testimony. God is good. That was with a crying emoji and with a heart emoji. And then this one is from God_Bambibi. Banky and Adesua's testimony. God, delay is really not denial. And then the last one is from Dami Ifelola, and he or she says, super happy for Banky and Adesua, and that's with the heart emoji. And then, like we were saying, and then, these reactions, and people kind of just relax and then be able to relate to you when they know what's going on, and they know that, something did go wrong. Like, and they can literally tell that, we were very insensitive to these people. Yeah. Do you understand? But it could be the other way around. It could just be that they just decided that we're not ready to have a baby yet, right? Like, I still have my career ahead of me. I'm not ready to have a baby. There are people who, even after getting married, psychologically, they feel like they're not prepared. They're not prepared to have it, because having a baby, right, it takes a lot.
It's like bringing a different life.
You have to be responsible.
So you have to be able to cope with yourself first before you.
But people don't understand that. A lot of Nigerians don't know that. A lot of Nigerians just expect that, look, you've gotten married, the next thing for you is to, have a baby. And then sometimes they be like, because you're a celebrity, you don't want to get pregnant. Do you think that it's going to affect your career? A baby is not a problem. A baby isn't going to. There are lots of things that people say, and it's very, very disheartening when you see stuff like that. And it's quite crazy.
Well, we are looking forward to a time where people will know what's happening. We will not dictate people's future for them. We'll not jump into people's personal life and try to tell them what to do and what not to do. We're looking forward to a time where people can decide to do whatever they want to do without the fear of anybody saying anything on social media or anything. Because choosing a life partner is something else. Getting a baby is something else. Doing anything in your career is something else. And all these things are life choices. And you cannot change people's opinions on them or beliefs. So I think people should be relaxed with whatever people want to do, whatever is happening. The least you could do, or the best you could do, is just pray for them. If you feel it's a problem, right? You can advise or anything, but not coming out to say, look, what's happening?
Don't even advise. It's not even in your place to advise. Except they come and ask for your advice.
And the testimony is very touching, especially the tweet that says delay is not denial. I really do believe that, when you're waiting for something and it's taking long, and you believe in something, you believe in a religion or something, you just stay there, because definitely there will be light after the tunnel. I'm a very hopeful person very optimistic, and you know
exactly.
that. So yeah, I'm very happy for the couple, and the testimony touched me.
All right, it did touch me as well. Okay, that's much we can take, but you know, something to take away from that is, aside from saying, you know, delay is not denial, it's always going to come through, but let people do things at the time where they want to do. Just let them people do things when they're ready. Don't rush people into stuff. So when they're ready, they're going to do it, or when they're ready, it's going to happen. Whatever you're expecting, when they're ready, it's going to happen. And then we're all going to join, you know, forces and be happy for you. Like, we're all happy for Banking Adesmo right now. That's so much you can take on what's trending on social media. You know that right now we're going to go on a break. The break I like to call the most important break of all. When we come back, we will be taking you on the big story.
You're welcome back to The Conversation, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, 2S Television. And it's that time of the show where we bring you the crux of the program, the big story. You know, in this season of economic recession, when deception has become a powerful tool of preventing depression, it will be relevant to share some sound leadership and management lessons from the reason for this season, that is Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And you know, Rick Warren, an American cleric and author of a classic, The Purpose-Driven Life, claims in the book that some people are prominent but not significant, while some are significant but not prominent. And Jesus Christ of Nazareth, that we celebrate and will continue to celebrate, was seen as both significant and prominent. And there are some remarkable lessons that we can learn and have formed a body of knowledge that we can learn from in his life. And joining us on this special Easter Monday edition of The Conversation is Mr. Wellington Isazua. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, he is a leadership coach and trainer. A very good morning to you, Mr. Wellington.
Good morning.
So Mr. Wellington will be taking us to church this
Definitely. All right. First of all, can you take us through one more time the significance of Easter and why we celebrate, the Easter?
Okay, Easter basically celebrates the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus. Mm-hmm. People would always say that really what gives significance to the day a person is born is the purpose the person fulfills at the point of death. That's what gives significance to the day a person is born. I mean, there are a lot of people that were born on 25th. We presume 25th of December. But not everybody is celebrated by the whole world on that same day. Mm-hmm. So what gives essence to the birth of Jesus is the purpose he came to fulfill at his death. And he fulfilled that at his death on the cross, his burial, and his resurrection. And all that was done to reconcile men back to God. That was his primary purpose of coming. And so when we celebrate Easter, we celebrate the fact that, Jesus was here in flesh, paid the price to reconcile us, repurchase us back to God, because we were all going astray. By his death, burial, resurrection. Now you can say I keep mentioning these three things because if any of these three things is not in the equation, then Easter will be useless. The purpose will not be fulfilled in the first place. So his death, important. His burial, important, because at his burial, he still did some things. He still performed some functions, even at his burial. Then his resurrection. So he had to complete the circle for us to be reconciled back to God. So it's because of that. That's why we can say we are saved. We have salvation. And that's why we celebrate Easter.
Okay. That's quite impressive, actually. But I do know that not a lot of persons are Christians, and not a lot of persons, believe in a death, burial, or resurrection of Jesus Christ. I do. And I know that as Christians, we do know that Jesus Christ was, a phenomenal leader.
Yes,
in all of his teachings and his doings, you could see that. So what are some of the things at this time? Because I know Nigeria is one country where we're still struggling with leadership issues and stuff like that. So what other life lessons do you think that we can learn, or our leaders can actually learn from the life of Jesus Christ?
Okay, I think for me the first thing I would mention is the very foundation of leadership itself. How we even pick our leaders as a country, in our political sphere, in our organizations. The way we see leadership for me, it's different from what leadership actually truly means. What we call leadership, for me, most times is not what leadership truly means. Leadership starts from, for somebody to be called a leader, at the very cradle of that person's upbringing. There are already certain things about that person that distinguishes that person from every other person. For example, I mean, those of us that we went to school, we're in primary school, secondary school, where there were no politics. But somehow, there was somebody who was picked to be the head girl. Or the head boy, or the class prefect. It wasn't everybody. I mean, there were some people that when it got to picking someone, we just knew it's either this person or that person or that person. So even at the tender age of those people,
you can tell.
You could tell they already had certain qualities, characteristics, and in summation of their qualities and characteristics, I will call it, they had what we call self-leadership. They had the ability to lead themselves at that tender age, right? And that was what Jesus had. Jesus was somebody who exuded self-leadership. So if you ask me, I'll tell you that leadership is an inside-out phenomenon. Before you want to lead people, you should be able to lead yourself first.
Yeah, but when you say lead yourself, what do you mean?
What it means to lead yourself is ability to build innate skills, capacities, giftings, such that you, at your own level, just within yourself, you can set personal goals and you are disciplined enough, you can lead yourself enough to see those goals through. You, at your own space, you can tell yourself, there are things I can do, there are things I cannot do. You have core values, you have personal core values that guide you. Imagine a Jesus at age 12. In fact, scripture tells us that even before that particular scenario that was told to us in the book of Matthew, where he was in the synagogue with professors arguing scriptures, he told his parents, you should know this is where I would be. In other words, that wasn't his first time. So it means even when he was much younger, he was already a scholar. He was disciplined. He learned obedience. So his upbringing from even his childhood, he already understood the concept of self-leadership. You know, scripture tells us that Jesus, that though he was a son, he learned obedience by the things he suffered. It means Jesus submitted himself, even though he knew it was divinity, from childhood, right? He submitted himself, learned, obeyed, you know, and he grew. Another scripture tells us how the boy Jesus grew in stature, in grace. He grew in wisdom, in favor with men and with God. In other words, it means everybody likes this young man. But how do we pick leaders in our country today? It's connection. No track record. Well, nobody goes for that. Check most of the leaders we have today. Ask what were they doing in secondary school, in university? Do they even understand what service means? Have they ever really helped anybody? I mean, how we pick our leaders today, people are in university and they are thinking about joining one cult or the other because, well, they believe when they come out, there will be connection, they will be connected, and it's who you know in Nigeria or in this part of the world. We don't pick people to come occupy leadership positions based on who they are, based on their giftings, their talents, their strengths, their core values, because they understand service. But Jesus grew, first of all, understanding the concept of self-leadership. So he was a disciplined, he was a moral person as a young person. And then that was how he grew in stature. So that's the first thing, right? Another thing I'll talk about Jesus as regards his leadership skills was the fact that Jesus understood his purpose. He discovered himself very early. A lot of people in our today's world just wake up, and like I said, by reason of connection, my dad is this, I know this person, I know that person, they just find themselves at the corridors of power. And when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is always inevitable. But Jesus, even at age 12, already knew his calling. He knew why he was here. He was purpose-driven, he was goal-driven, he was vision-driven. The first time Jesus, when he was about to start his ministry, when he went into the temple to, meet with the people and then fellowship with them, he asked for a scroll. And the scroll they gave him was the scroll of Isaiah. And he opened it and went to the portion of Isaiah's prophecy that was concerning him. And so the book of Hebrews tells us that Jesus came, he was speaking, he says, I have come according to the multitude of the volumes of the book, as it was written concerning me. So Jesus was deliberate. He was intentional in his living. He was guided by his life's purpose. He was purpose-driven. He knew why he was here, and he was focused on that reason. A lot of people we call leaders today don't know why they are leaders. They don't know the purpose of leadership. They think that leadership means controlling people, having superiority over people, stepping on people's heads and, just work. They really don't understand the essence of leadership, right? So Jesus knew his purpose. He followed it through. Another thing about Jesus was that Jesus prepared for leadership. Yeah, he prepared. Well, this guy's divinity probably would have just started his ministry at age 12 or 15.
Okay.
But Jesus waited, learned the ropes, submitted himself to other people's leadership. The Bible says he learned obedience through the things he suffered. He waited till he was 30 before he launched out. In fact, before he launched out, there was a John the Baptist. Jesus didn't say, hey, who is that guy? That's not the Messiah. Let me come and take my place. No. He waited for the right time. He learned the rope. He understood himself. He was self-led. And when it comes to the issue of self-leadership, you'll be talking about when you understand the concept of self-leadership and you're competent at self-leadership, you gain some other competencies. There are 4 competencies you gain. 1, you become self-aware. You become self-aware. You have what we call self-love. You have what we call self-trust, right? And then we have what we call self-esteem. These are like 4 competencies that comes with self-discovery. So because Jesus discovered himself, learned the ropes, he took his time, he studied, he learned what leadership was. He prepared for it. And then when he launched out, people were like, whoa, where did this, I thought this guy was the son of the carpenter. Where did he come from? And you see, I always tell people that public presentation is a function of private preparation. Right? Word. So when you see somebody do stuff, he didn't just start learning it at that point. There was a period for preparation. Most of the leaders we have today in today's generation, no track record. No preparation whatsoever. Leadership just drops on there. What is leadership even in the first? This is how I define my leadership. What leadership means for me. This is how I define it. Leadership is a platform that is extended to a person. Take note of that. So nobody takes leadership by force. So it means we have people who are leaders today. Well, they are just positional leaders. They are not my leader because I don't see them as one. So leadership is a position extended to a person, or is a platform extended to a person for that person to use his or her giftings, skills, talents, abilities to influence people and give direction to people towards the attainment of certain goals and objectives. That's what leadership is to me. Okay. So it's a platform. And for that platform to be given to you, there must be something about you that people have seen that they feel when you are on that platform, you can use that thing to give them direction. And you do it through influencing. You don't cajole. You don't manipulate. You don't control. You do it through influencing.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you, but like going by everything you said, it's just presumed that we actually do not have leaders. We don't have leaders in the country, and we don't have the right measures to pick out leaders with. So what can we begin to do? How can we begin to set things right?
To balance all this, because we're always saying we're like, wow, these are words, these are things that we should know, but still. It's a different ballgame here in the country. So how do we balance all this?
So what can we begin to do?
Now, I think, like I said, the foundation of leadership is people knowing, first of all, entrenching the concept of self-leadership in our young minds. Leadership has to start from the very cradle, primary schools. What's our curriculum like? What do we teach children in school? Secondary schools. You ask kids now in secondary schools, or even in primary schools, what do you want to be? Well, the thing that comes to their mind is I want to be this, that, and all they are thinking about is because I want to make money. I want to be rich. They do not understand that leadership is servitude. Leadership is servitude. And it is in the place of servitude you shine. That's where you get to the top of the ladder. That's where you become a true leader. Right? So we need to start tweaking our school curriculums from primary school at the cradle. Go abroad where things work. You see them teach children how to embark on community service. It's part of the curriculum. They teach them how to serve, add value. For you to be a leader, you should be somebody that creates value. And that's what Jesus did. Every person Jesus met, he left them with value. And that was how they were able to submit to his leadership. He was able to influence them because he cared, he loved, he added value to them. So the way we can solve this is not by having one leadership institute where people who have graduated from university and are working, you are telling them come and attend one leadership training and you give them certificate and you say you're a leader. No, it's an inside out phenomenon. It starts with self-leadership, that we need to start teaching our kids right from primary school, secondary school. We should have more soft skills in our curriculum. Not physics, chemistry, all those things are good. With all of that, how many things we create or make in Nigeria or in this part of the world? But we need to place more emphasis on soft skills, leadership soft skills, and we need to entrench it from primary, secondary, not even university. When it starts from the foundation, train a child the way he should go when he's old. He will not depart. So we will have a new generation of people who are more people-centered, not self-centered. A lot of leaders we have today have personal ambition, not vision. They don't have vision for the people. What they have is ambition, personal ambition. And that's why they can do the things they do. A leader, one person will amass wealth belonging to a whole nation. They don't even know what leadership is all about. So, but when we start from the cradle, little children, where they don't discriminate, they don't understand what religious bias is, they don't understand what ethnicity is, primary school, they just love each other. We start teaching them little things about love, helping people, think the betterment of everybody and all of that. It's not really about you. At that foundation, that's where we can correct this wrong and where we find ourselves.
It's quite sad that we're actually out of time. But before I let you go, one question. I do know that you sound like a very optimistic person, but do you see us getting it right here in Nigeria with leadership? Going by everything you said, do you see us getting it right?
Well, yeah, it's possible. I mean, there are a few persons like me around the country that I know. There are a few people who are proponents of servant leadership, say the same things I say. Sometime, was it 2 years ago, I did something with the FCT, Senior Education Board, where we went to certain schools to teach them leadership and all that. So there are people talking to the authorities, the educational system, and institutions being built. We can try. I mean, we can give it a shot. We won't stop trying. And we trust that a time will come where we have a crop of leaders who understand what leadership truly means, and they are people-centered and not just themselves.
Self-centered.
Yes.
Thank you so much. That was quite, I felt like I attended, motivational class.
Yeah, free of charge without us paying anything.
Like I quite learned so much. I mean, I've been a Christian for the longest time possible, and there's some things that you did say that I didn't see from that perspective. Like, oh, okay, I think I
very
missed
insightful, I must say.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much, Mr. Wellington, for coming on the show this morning. It was such a pleasure to have you. And we were talking to Mr. Wellington Osazuwa. Yes, a life coach. And of course, looks like a leader. Looks like a leader himself. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you guys for joining us on the conversation this morning. Do not forget, you can be a part of the conversation by following TOS TV Network across all social media platforms. That's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also YouTube, so you don't miss out on anything. And also check out our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. I am Adesua Osi.
And I am Merciful Ajinama. Once again, happy Easter.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.